Hello everyone. Just like every other video, we try to bring you some great information about what is affecting the real estate market. And you know what? It is quite surprising that the fixed interest rates have gone up. Now, some of you are really surprised, like what really happened here? Our economy has started to do well, and all of a sudden we're seeing that the fixed interest rates basically by all the banks have increased. And I will give you all the details about that. And before I do that, let me just take you why this happened. Now, first of all, as most of you know, that Canada's economy in the third quarter grew by 0.6%. It is quite surprising. You know, in my previous videos, I was actually mentioning that we are basically that in a recession. And to everybody's surprise, Canada's economy grew by 0.6%. And here's another thing. The IMF even was surprised because the tariffs, all the impact from the tariffs that was expected, Canadian economy has shown more resilience to all the tariffs. And our economy grew by 0.6%, and it basically surprised everybody that we are doing really well. And even the IMF actually made a report on it, that the impact of the tariffs, that Canada's economy did not suffer as much as they were expecting. So that is one of the reasons. The second thing is that our country added 54,000 jobs in the month of November, which is very significant. Now, just imagine, most of the economists and also the industry specialists were expecting that Canada is going to lose some jobs in November, but it grew by 54,000. And you know who is the winner in that part? Alberta. Alberta added almost 29,000 jobs, which is great. I mean, obviously, we have so many people that moved here, and we are trying to absorb all those people into our work class. And there were so many people who were waiting to get jobs. 29,000 jobs were added in Alberta's economy. But at the same time, can you imagine that our unemployment rate fell from 7.8% to be on par with Canada's unemployment rate, and it is now at 6.5%. So these things have been very surprising to everybody. Just the numbers came out. And when it comes to Calgary's unemployment rate, it is still showing pretty good. But just imagine that Canada, which we were at 6.9% before, and our unemployment rate dropped to 6.5%. And we will talk about these in detail in a different video, because otherwise our videos get really long. But just because of all these things that added up in the system, that Canadian banks have increased the fixed interest rate now to higher rates. Now, I will advise you that if you already have on your contract any interest rate that is fixed and it is below 4%, I would suggest that you go for a property, buy it, get it done as soon as possible. Now, is it going to stay high? That is a good question. Now, if the economy starts to keep doing good, we know that the interest rate decrease is out of the system. I don't think we are supposed to expect anything anytime soon, if it ever happens, unless the economy starts to slow down. But just imagine that banks have increased interest rate, and there is a chance that if economy starts to keep doing good, that actually Bank of Canada can increase the interest rates because they need to keep inflation under control. So for those who were waiting for the market to crash, who were waiting for the interest rates to come down, just keep this in mind that things have started to improve, and they are very different than what it was. Now, some of the people in the industry are saying, oh, maybe this is just for the time being, interest rates might drop down again. We don't know that. We don't know what will happen in the near future. We were not expecting banks to increase the interest rates, but they have increased the fixed interest rates. And if you look at this right here, you probably have paid attention to our previous interest rates, that banks have increased the interest rates even on 3-year and 5-year fixed, even quite higher than what we were expecting before. So the variable rates are still available. They are still actually pretty good, and you can still negotiate with the banks because they're not changing those ones, but they have increased the fixed interest rates. So if you are in the market, keep that part in mind. Now let's get back to our monthly numbers for the month of November. We know that the inventory here, we had really high inventory numbers. At the same time, the prices were coming down. But there is one little thing. I mean, this is the only month, again, we're seeing this. And as I mentioned, if the jobs are going up, keep that part in mind, then that means that people who are moving to Alberta, if that stays steady, then things could be very different. Now, when you're looking at monthly numbers, so our sales dropped. Obviously, like there were only 1,553 properties that got sold, which is a decrease of almost 13.5%. But here is one thing that, again, keep this in mind. This is new listings also dropped by 3%. That is something that we need to keep an eye on in the near future. What will happen? If the new listings keep on dropping, that means inventory will drop as well. So, but the inventory was still quite high. Like we had it above 28% at 5,581 units, which is still really high. And months of supply obviously also increased by basically 48% to 3.59 months, sorry. And days on the market also increased to 49, which is an increase of more than 34%. And our benchmark price dropped by 4.6% to 559,000. Now, when it comes to all the categories, just keep this in mind. All these drops this is all categories together. And keep in mind that our sales in detached category only dropped by 4.5%. And in the semi-detached category, they only dropped by 3.5%. Now, obviously, the row houses have taken a hit more than 26%, and apartments more than 28% sales drop. And that's where we're seeing significant price decreases and everything. Obviously, the house prices have dropped, no doubt. But we have been talking about this even in our previous videos, that the market, the first quarter could be different. I'm not saying prices will increase, but the market will shift. Now, this is just December. We're just sitting in December, and we're seeing already that the banks have increased the fixed interest rates. More jobs are added. Canada's economy is doing well. It grew by 0.6%. And things are actually moving in a very different direction than what everybody was expecting. So let's just talk about the change here. As you guys know that the new listings and all that. But here I also want to talk about what happened in different districts of Calgary. Now you can see right here the Northeast price right here, the benchmark price in Northeast has dropped by 7.2%. That is the highest in Calgary. And north part, which is where Livingston, Carrington, Evanston, all those ones come, and even Beddington and some of the other communities, there it decreased by 6.8%. But when you look at the whole rest of the city, east is 6.3%, and rest of city is close to 4%. Or the center is about 5.2%, but the southwest, sorry, the west district was just close to about 3%, 2.9% drop in benchmark price. So we're seeing significant, even in different quadrant of the city, we're seeing different type of changes. It's not exactly the same in the whole city. So keep that part in mind. Now, let's just talk about what happened in the last 1 week. This is December. Our days are really short. It is cold outside. Right now it's about minus 13, I believe. And so people really don't like looking at houses. So our sales do come down. And new listings also come down. So in last 1 week, we had 408 new listings that came into the market. 59 properties were back on the market. 351 properties saw a price decrease. 17 properties saw a price increase. 279 properties went pending. 356 properties got sold, 358 properties expired. Remember I was telling you at the month end a lot more properties expired? 5 properties were withdrawn, 212 properties were terminated. Now, we try to bring you all the right information so you can make a very informed decision. So keep this in mind that this is how we do our business. And if you have any questions about real estate, please give us a call at 403-689-2345. Thank you.